So I was born in Texas, way West Texas. I grew up in a really godly home. I homeschooled from the time that I was in second grade all the way through high school. So I was in an environment that really focused on character and on godliness. So I'm so grateful for the way I was raised. But I had a real sense of boredom and a sense of frustration the whole time. I was a very passionate person, especially in my teen years, and I was looking for the point and for the reason for my existence. And surely there was more than just living in small town Texas and just being good. Surely there was more to life than just being good. This was so boring. If this was it, then I wanted to be bad. I wanted to do something. This could not be the end of my life. So I went on this journey in my heart of figuring out, what is the point? Why are we created? Why do we exist? This was the biggest question in my life all through my teen years. Why? Why do I exist? And I remember asking my mother so many times, so many questions, and driving her crazy. Why? Why does God do this? Why are we here? Surely there's more. And so I just went on this frustrating journey of hunger, looking for my point, looking for my reason. And then the point and the reason, and then the second thing was impact, because I knew that life was short, and I had this eternity was like always pressing down on me. I had the frailty of life from the time I can remember. I remember being 5 years old and thinking about the fact that I was going to die one day. And the fact that I was going to die one day was very pressing on me, especially in my teen years. And I needed impact. So impact was like pulsing inside of my being. What's the point? Where's the impact? What's the point? Where's the impact? So you can imagine I was very much a frustrated little atomic explosion. And I remember one day I was pacing in the hallway, and I have my fist in the air, just telling God a piece of my mind, and I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm going, I'm 16 years old, the world is going to hell, and I'm doing nothing. I'm doing absolutely nothing. I'm sitting in small town Texas doing nothing, and I'm going, Lord, tell me, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? And I could hear my sister in the background going, she's going, calm down, Misty. And I'm like, I can't calm down. I'm 16 years old. And the Lord stops me in my tracks. And he says to me, who's going to change the world anyway, me or you? And I stopped totally in my tracks. And I said, well, you are. And from that point on, I said to myself, the only point in my life is to touch God and to be involved in what he's doing, instead of trying to raise my own banner and then maybe ask him to get involved in it. Does that make sense? I'm like, I need to figure out what he's doing and jump on his wagon instead of trying to build my own and then ask him to bless it. So from that point on, I said, my goal, my primary calling in life is to know you, to know your heart, to touch you. And so I started fasting. I was 17 or 16 at the time. I started fasting, and I go, you know what? If my point in life is to touch you, to know you, to get your heart, to be a part of what you're doing, then here we go. And so I went on my first fast, which I was a very bad faster at the time. I'd never done it before. I fasted on milkshakes and tomato soup and anything that you didn't have to chew. And I was just weak with hunger, And so I remember every day I would lay on the couch and I would just go, here I am, Joan of Arc, come and speak to me. Here I am, the one that you've called. And every day the Lord would say to my spirit, he would say, I love you. And I was very frustrated. First of all, I didn't know if I believed that God even spoke. And so I was testing the waters to see if he even spoke. And all I could come up with is, I love you. And so I was so frustrated. I'm reading Exodus and I'm looking at the life of Moses and I'm going like, this isn't, hello, you talk to him face to face, like what's happening here? And so I was very, very frustrated this whole fast. But by the end of the fast, I finally just gave in and I said, fine, I love you too. I just looked at him, and in my heart of hearts, I had a heart connect with the Lord, and I said, fine, I love you too. And I heard the Lord say, are you satisfied with my love? And from that day forward, I said to myself, I'm going to live to touch God, to know God as the primary means of changing the world, of changing anything. And I'm going to live for love, which is the Sermon on the Mount lifestyle. It's the forgiving, it's giving, it's meekness, it's humility. I said, I'm going to live my whole life with these two things as the primary means and purpose for my existence. And so that sent me on a journey of figuring out how I can live for love, how I could live for the knowledge of God. And so that brought me to Kansas City. And then 3 years after that experience with the Lord is when the House of Prayer started. And whenever the house of prayer started, and I realized that there was a 24-hour, 7 days a week reality of sitting before the Lord and getting to know what He's doing in my generation, and then getting to be a part of what He's doing, and then being transformed into His image, the image of love. Sitting in front of that flame day after day, I jumped in and I haven't turned back since then. I did 18 hours a day for several years, just sang and then read the Bible and then did my service hours and then sang and then read the Bible and did my service hours, sang and read the Bible. And through those years, through this last 8 years, I can say that I don't regret it at all. I mean, my whole emotional chemistry has changed, my life view has changed, my understanding of God has changed, my understanding of myself, of people, of what He's doing, the urgency of the hour. I mean, I could go on and on about how much the Lord has taught me about endurance, about patience. I mean, so much in this past 8 years. And I can say I can't see myself doing anything else. I may be in another country someday, I may be in a different vocation someday, but at the heart level, I can't imagine doing anything else than living a life of prayer and fasting and giving the rest of my life. Several years ago, I had this dream, and in the dream, I had gone to bed that night. I was meditating on Song of Solomon, and I was meditating on, by night on my bed, I seek the one I love. I seek Him, but I cannot find Him. I was just thinking on this verse, and then all of a sudden, I fell asleep, and I am in this big church, and I'm looking around, and everything is really stoic and very mechanical, and this like plastic smiles, and it was like a very shallow, very, very shallow, but they were having a celebration. And there were these waiters and waitresses with big platters of food, and everything seemed so fake, and so, it was just the most eerie feeling. And I start hearing this beat, and it's going, and it's pounding. It's like from the inside of me, yet so far away. And my adrenaline starts rushing, and my heart starts beating very fast. And I say to myself, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. So I'm looking around, I'm trying to figure out where the door is, and I start running to the rhythm of this beat. And I'm running out of the sanctuary. I'm running out of the door. And when I get to the door, I see that there's these boxes that are going by, and there's one box that has like a Nazi soldier in it. And I go, what is that? And then this assembly of line of plastic people, you know, they go, that's a Nazi soldier. And I go, oh my goodness, which just represented World War II. And so I watch this Nazi soldier, and I see it go down into this river and into this atomic explosion, and I'm running behind it. I stop at the edge of this atomic explosion. It's like a pit, and there's just smoke and all of this stuff coming out of it. And I am terrified at this point in the dream. I'm trying to wake up. I know I'm dreaming, and I'm going, wake up, Misty. And I'm repenting, thinking, what was I thinking about before I'm so scared in this dream. And then the Lord or an angel or somebody is standing right next to me, and I go, I don't want to go near that thing. And I'm talking about the atomic explosion. I go, I don't want to go near that. The next thing I know, I'm going down this same river thing right into the middle of this explosion, and I hit the ground, and I look to the left and I look to the right, and everything is code red. I mean, it is blood, it is fire, it is smoke, it is mass chaos, it is war, it is utter destruction. My heart is pounding, and I am really scared. And I'm looking around, and this beat gets louder and louder. The whole time in my dream, this beat is going, and it's going, and it's getting louder and louder. And I look over, and I see the Lord, and He's running to the rhythm of this beat. And He's running like a lion, like on National Geographic, how you see a lion move. He was a man, but he was running like a lion. And he had the most penetrating look in his eyes, and he had this look of vengeance on his face. And when I looked at him, I knew that he was the one causing this destruction. And I was very confused. I was so confused. And I said, but Lord, I go, what is going on? What is going on? And He looked at me, and He goes, zeal for my house has consumed me. Zeal for my house has consumed me. And I said, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, but there is no evil in you. If this is you, then what's evil? And He points over here, and I follow his finger, and I look, and I see, just for lack of a better word, it was like some kind of Buddhist monk. these growing flowers, and there's this real aura of peace and safety and this real eerie peace. And the Lord says to me, woe to those who call good evil and evil good in that day, and blessed are you if you are not offended. Woe to those who call good evil and evil good in that day, and blessed are you if you are not offended. God, I'm not offended, God. I'm not offended. But if this is you, what do you want me to do? And he looks right at me and he goes, sing, Zion, sing. Sing, Zion, sing. And I immediately woke up from the dream. The presence of the Lord was in my room, and I was shaken to the core. I didn't have much of an understanding of what this dream meant. And the Lord told me Jeremiah 50 and 51. I went and read Jeremiah 50 and 51 and got a little more understanding, but that's my dream. My heart for this generation is to see a generation of reality. Not a lot of words, not a lot of rhetoric, not a lot of external things that don't reach the heart, but to see a generation that is on fire with love for Jesus from the inside out, like for real, when nobody's looking. A generation on fire with allegiance and affection for Jesus in a way that's never been seen in an entire generation. The first commandment would truly be in first place. And I believe that this is the generation that the Lord's going to return, and that the Lord would have a bride ready in this generation with the first commandment burning in their heart, and that they would live radical lives of wholehearted abandonment because of love. Not only because of religion or because it's just the right thing to do, but because of passion and because of love. They would live lives of transcendence, lives of holiness, and counting no cost. When you're in love, you don't count the cost. You leave everything. You burn every bridge. You say goodbye to everything. You don't even want to think about anything else when you're in love. And that in the hearts of this generation, the Holy Spirit would move upon their hearts and birth this kind of affection for Jesus and this kind of allegiance, especially when Jesus begins to shake everything that can be shaken, and there's a confusion that's going to come over this generation, and they're not going to recognize him, they're not going to know what he's doing, but that the Lord would raise up a clear voice of burning and shining lamps for real, who are burning with love, who are burning with passion, who recognize him, who know what he's doing, who know his heart for real. That would be my heart for this generation. From the north to the south, I mean all over the globe, that the Lord would raise up these true burning and shining ones. And most of the time they're going to be trained in the wilderness. They're going to be trained in the backside of nowhere, where there's just God and them talking to God, and that fire being stoked, that flame being birthed inside of their hearts. And I think the Lord's going to flip things around, where the people who are at the forefront right now in this generation, it's going to flip around, and the people on the backside of Podunkville, who have burning hearts, the Lord is going to bring them to the forefront, because these are the kinds of people that the Lord wants to lead this generation for such a time as this unto his second coming. So my heart would be that the first commandment would truly be first, like we've never even imagined it. I'd say, how can you live a radical abandoned lifestyle in the midst of going to college, your work schedule, the mundaneness of life? Just you don't have a calling to be a full-time intercessory missionary. How can you live a radical lifestyle? I think that the main thing is the Sermon on the Mount lifestyle, which has very little to do with what you're doing with your hands. It's mostly has to do with what you're doing with your heart. And I think if you take the Sermon on the Mount at face value and you go, I am going to do what it says to the nth degree that the Lord gives me the vision to do, I'm going to do it, and you apply your heart to do that, and you're in the working setting, you're in school. I mean, you can grow in meekness, which is what the Lord is after ultimately, is meekness, humility, love. You can grow in those things. In fact, being in a work environment or a school environment is the greatest context to grow in those kinds of things, I think. And then also just asking the Lord to give you time in your schedule to be in the Word. I mean, you can't go deep in God if you're not going to go deep in the Word. You can't separate the two. And so maybe it's an hour in the morning, or it's an hour from your social time. It's a little bit of time here and there. It's 15-minute breaks where you steal away and you're in the Word. And just asking God to make a way, even when you're so busy already, to make a way and to get things in priority. Because you have to have a life in the Word to have a life in God. You just can't it can't be separated.